This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. It is all about the transformation, going from where you are now, which for many of us, it might not be exactly where we want to be, but walking that journey with someone to take you where you want to be, I got it right here today. And a lot of this is about the things you do on a regular basis, i.e., rituals. What are you doing? What are you doing to support you? All of us, many of this comes from a habit. Let's talk about that today. She helps people through many different modalities, one of them being yoga and so much more. So great to have her back here, Dawn Cannon, on the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you again.
You too. You too. And it's the ritual thing is real. And it's interesting. Like, I'm looking at the ritual of things that we can do to foster transformation and feel better or just get to a goal. But then when I think about it, we're doing rituals all the time, like picking up a cup of coffee on the way to work. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But is a ritual a habit, or can it be, or should it be?
I think it is kind of a habit. I think those are very similar words. I think of it as a ritual when it's something I always do with intention. So you mentioned getting a cup of coffee, and that's my favorite thing in the morning. I will admit I've switched to mushroom coffee now as trying to get lower caffeine for me.
Yeah, I don't do caffeine, but I've been hearing the benefits of mushroom coffee, and
my brain loves it.
I'm gonna look into that.
You gotta go through them and figure out the one you can tolerate the taste of. I do admit that's a thing. Tea also works, but I noticed, I love in the morning the feeling of a warm mug in my hand. It could be warm lemon water, I think, and I'm still happy. I love that feeling.
Agreed.
And so I started to embrace it every day as a daily practice, that when I first get up, I make something in a warm mug. And it used to be that was my time to sort of flip through my phone, figure out what I was going to do for the day. And then for some reason, I felt called to a few times do nothing else but hold this warm mug of coffee and just appreciate it for what it was. And it shifts my whole day. Like, just to sit there, even if it's only 5 minutes, I try to make it more like 15, but even if it's only 5 minutes, to just sit there where my intention is just to relax into enjoying this warm mug. It's amazing what it does for our brain.
I get you on that. I'm not even drinking coffee because I need to, caffeine and all of that. I look at it, and by the way, I've weaned off of coffee. When I first wake up, I have tea. Been doing it for about a year and change. Loving it. All different flavors, different goals. Sometimes a little caffeine. I'm not drinking the caffeine because I need it. It's more of, it's a detox tea. I want to see what that tastes like. It's got some caffeine. I'll deal with it. It's okay. Can't overdo caffeine for me. But to your point of picking up this $3.47 cup of coffee, the extra large, lasts me like half the day.
Yep.
I'll microwave it. But there's something about the warmth in the cup, but also I feel this is going to sound cheesy as hell. This is self-care.
It is.
Because I feel like I'm working, I'm doing my thing here. And this is I took 2 minutes and $3.47 to treat myself for my day.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
That's exactly it.
It's the weirdest thing. And it's, and there's something about the warmth, because when it starts cooling off, I'm like, it's not the same. Microwave for 30 seconds.
Yep.
Oh, it's back again. Okay.
That's right.
It's weird how you look at it,
But the perspective, I think, is an intention perspective. I think that's what shifts everything. It's those little things. Holding the warm mug is like some way of telling yourself, or the warm cup, that I'm worth this practice of caring for me. Yeah. And it's funny what, that just calls in that energy, I think, in the rest of your life.
What do
Little
we
tiny
do?
things like that make big differences.
We don't do self-care enough. What did you do
Agree.
today? What are you going to do today for you
Yep.
and self-care? So I went back to the gym today for the first time in a long time, met a friend. We've been talking about it for a long time. And it was like, meeting because I have never gone to the gym with this person. And it was kind of nice. It was a different gym. I was like, all right, yeah, all right, getting back on track. Okay. So, call it like 40 minutes of self-care there. But and I think that's true for the rest of us. What are you doing today for yourself? For me, part of it
Yep.
was this cup of coffee because it's almost,
Yep.
and I'm not realizing this until we talk about it. And I think that's your superpower where you bring these things out. I never looked at this as self-care, but it really is. It's
And I
giving.
think that moment when you shift and look at it that way is actually when something in you changes because you're like, oh, I did it. I used to do it all the time when I was the COO of a bank and had this stressful job. I also often felt really stressed on the drive to and from work. I think it was like the anxiety of knowing what my day looked like and then letting the day go.
Mm,
And I started to use breath work, and the kinds of breath work I would do were the simple ones that I didn't feel like I needed to close my eyes, of course. But I would use breath work to and from, turn off the radio, which don't get me wrong, because music is also one of those things I love.
yep.
But I would turn off the radio and just, let's say, take 10 deep breaths on my way home. And it started to shift everything. Like I could go home now and show up for my kids because I had let go all that, whatever I was carrying that had me on edge. And it's the little things that make huge differences.
But you don't know them until you find them
I
because
agree.
the music thing, music freak. I've been,
Yep.
here, transparency. I do radio since I was a kid. Here's today's music log. I'm recording it and I pre-record. Love it,
Yep.
music, everything. And
Yeah.
what am I doing when I'm driving? Cranking tunes, I'm singing. Oh, I thought of another song I haven't heard in a while. Ooh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be driving. But, and that's all good. But when I shut it off and hear nothing, it's actually just as good
Yep.
in a
Well, and
weird
same with
way.
music. If I go right now, my mood is down, but I need it to be up because I'm going to do something where I have to really show up in that, be positive and whatnot, show up for a class. Then I can take my music and find something that inside makes my kind of inner child want to sing or dance, whatever, kind of bring up that mood for me. And if you consciously use music, it too is the same kind of tool.
And going layers deeper there when it comes to music, actually, how do I say this? Processing what you're listening to and why you're listening to it.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a reason you're listening to whatever you're listening to, be it the vibe, be it the lyrics. Like I've had songs that have gnawed at me for weeks, and I play them over and over and over like 50 times.
Me too. Yep.
And I'm like, why? What's grabbing me on that? And I started to try to process it, and it could be the cheesiest song ever that nobody's ever heard, but it's
Yep.
resonating. But I do believe it's resonating for a reason.
Yep.
How do you find that answer? I got nothing for you. Look at the lyrics,
it's
look at
a
your
it's like
life.
trusting your intuition. It comes through when it's ready.
Well, funny you should say that word, trust. So there's one song I love. Nobody's going to know this song. Trust me, nobody will. Nobody will. Um, I was playing it again this morning, and when it comes on, I don't shut it off. I'm like,
Yep.
um, it's called Heart of the Night, and it's by a band called Poco, Poco. Came out like in the late 70s. They had a song, a hit called Crazy Love, and it's about New Orleans. Never been there, but there's a breakdown in the middle of the song, and it says, "I trust in your love like I do in this town." And I look at that, and I'm like, I'm currently single. I'd like to find somebody that I trust in their love, and I think it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
do. I really do.
There's a part of you kind of calling that in, I bet. Most
I
certainly.
because I don't shut it off, and I'm like, oh, here's that part again. It's weird.
Yeah.
So rituals. What are some rituals that we can adopt to move our lives forward in a positive direction?
I think rituals are very individual. So I think we can give lists and people should try everything and like find those things that work for them.
Agreed.
But, things like workouts. So whether you love going to a boxing class or CrossFit or yoga, whatever it is, things like that, that's like doing good for your body are wonderful rituals. Breath work, different kinds of meditation. But I like the simple stuff too of, in the morning, what I started to add to that whole practice of holding a warm mug was just writing down 3 things I could be grateful for in that moment. And I write it down just because it's nice to look back in my journal and sort of remember over time when I want to what I've been grateful for. But also just the energy of bringing forth what am I grateful for today just puts my heart in a different place and sets the tone for my day. So I think any kinds of practices, I know for a lot of people it's art, doing some kind of drawing. I, for a while, engaged in a practice where outside I used to create mandalas out of just nature things like rocks, leaves, dead bugs, stuff I would find in my backyard, and just creating a little mandala on the ground that would blow away in the wind. But there's something to just little things like that that are like the things that bring us back home to us.
Yeah.
And I don't know, nourish our soul in a lot of ways.
It's very individual too. I keep a gratitude journal.
Yep.
Didn't write in it this morning. Feel a little guilty. I thought about it when I first woke up, and I'm like, I'm going to get to it, and then I didn't get to it. Well, because I went to the gym for the first time in a long time.
See, you did another one.
Yeah. But it's my ritual, and I'm trying to get better in journaling. I find journaling for me is in spurts. Like I'll do it for a few days, a week, and then lean off on it. And it's almost like therapy. Like you don't talk to a therapist or a coach counselor every single day. So I feel like when I'm journaling, it's kind of what I'm doing. I'm talking to me, and so it's when as needed, I guess. But the gratitude journal is the simplest thing to do. And like you say, and aside from it making you feel good, in a universal way, I hear that if you're grateful for things, the universe will bring you more things to be grateful for.
I agree. I think it's that energy we put out. Like when you put out the energy of gratitude, you're calling more in because you're grateful for what you have.
Yep. What else works? What other rituals? Again, not one size fits all different ideas here.
I think all kinds of rituals are powerful, like rituals when we're going to start something new and when we're ending things. I have a lot of friends who work with, like cord cutting rituals, which is the concept, and you can get really into the woo-woo side of it, or you can think of it like, let's say I was ending a relationship that I've had for a few weeks, and I've decided it's not for me or whatever it is, but doing something that for you is symbolic of honoring whatever that was, maybe even being grateful for the gifts you got from it, but then doing some type of ritual that's a very conscious letting it go so you can kind of make space in your life, move on to the next thing. I think ritual is such a powerful way for us to kind of live a lot of our life in that state of more intention. To me, it's that you mentioned like calling in energy. When you're grateful, you're calling in kind of you're sending out the message you're grateful for what you have. Rituals, I think, do the same thing. Rituals to start something. Like when I have a big goal, I might sit down, light a candle, and speak my intention out loud. To me, that's a ritual of like just being very direct with the universe of what do I want. I think it wires our brains. Like we're then looking for things that are telling us, oh yeah, that's coming to me. It's working. And because we've wired our brains to look for the good, that's what kind of happens.
Well, let's go back to the cord cutting thing. Yeah. Heard that a million times. Yes, it's woo for some, where the belief is. And tell me if I'm wrong or right or any of this. The belief is that we are energetically connected to so many different people in so many different ways. And if you could visualize it, there are cords everywhere connecting us. So even though you may have ended a relationship or you're not physically or even emotionally connected with someone, there are energetic connections to them, and there
Yep.
are rituals you can do to cut those cords.
Yep.
But even I've even heard, if you want to really end something, you could write it down
Yeah.
and throw it in a fire,
Fire. Yeah.
or rip it up and, don't want to litter, but just throw it to the universe. And now that we're saying this, it's bringing back a memory back in the day. And I've done like morning radio forever. And now that I'm looking back in this bit that we used to do on air, now I'm seeing that there was energetic validity in it. We used to do a thing we call a boyfriend bonfire, and we would invite women to come to the radio station, and we'd start a big fire in a dumpster or a 55-gallon drum, and they would bring things symbolic of the relationship. We had fire personnel standing by if needed, and throw it into the bonfire, but it was symbolic of letting it go.
Yeah.
And I'm talking, this was 20 years ago. We used to do that, once a year. Yeah, and it's just all in fun. But I think there was more to it than I realized at that time.
No, I think it's those little things. It tells our brain we're done with it. I saw there's some zoo, and I wish I knew to quote it
Oh,
on
I know.
here,
I
but there
think I
was
know
a
where you're
zoo,
going.
the
Go ahead.
cockroaches.
Yes.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes money for the zoo.
That's yes.
Basically, they name a cockroach in honor of your ex or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever works,
Yeah. It can be a piece of paper. It can be a cockroach.
and call that a ritual. So, gratitude journal's great. Journaling is great. Ideas. I love all these ideas. Anything that we're missing that can be a ritual.
I really think you can make almost anything a ritual. I do think it should be something healthy for you, like maybe not making your smoking your whole pack of cigarettes a day your faithful ritual that you think of as self-care doesn't sound quite aligned, but anything that like makes you feel good. I think more than anything, it has to do with that intention you set beforehand, or like you tell yourself, I'm doing this because. And when you have the intention, I think that's what kind of turns it into more of a ritual versus just something we do every day or a habit.
How do you, or is there a difference between a habit and a ritual? Like the thing that you do, like I've started talking about music again in the last like month or two, a few times a week, but downtime in the evening or just before bed, I'll sit and listen to music, and I will look at the lyrics of songs that I've played a million times, but I see them in a different way, and I understand them in a different way or interpret them in a different way, almost to the point where it's kind of like I don't want to call it a ritual, but that I enjoy it. I make time for it. It's almost like my me time. I'm not watching TV. TV might be on in the background. I haven't watched TV in like a long time. This is
Yeah.
what I'm doing because I'm getting something out of it. It's I don't know if that would be a ritual. Does a ritual have to be on a regular basis?
I mean, I think you get to I don't know. I don't think so.
Hmm.
No, because I'd said, like when we're ending a relationship, hopefully you're not doing that on a really regular basis.
This is true, true, true.
I think it's that telling yourself this is something I'm doing for me. I think it is really close to a habit. I don't think those are drastically different, but I have a lot of habits that are kind of mindless. I have a checklist each day of, because I have 5 different email accounts I have to maintain with the different businesses and stuff I work with. A
Sure.
habit is to go check them multiple times per day. But I don't necessarily do that with some kind of intention of self care. So I think of that as more my habits that serve me. They're good. But rituals to me
Okay.
are something I'm doing. Like there's an intention to do good for me. That self
Okay.
care element, I think.
Okay. So now I'm seeing that differently. And you said it, intention for self-care.
Yep.
Yeah. Because habits are, check your email in the morning. It's a habit,
Yep.
I don't,
And habits are great. We need them, especially those of us with neurodivergence. They help manage things.
absolutely. But the ritual, like even just driving somewhere and just sitting for an hour with the breeze coming in and just thinking can be a ritual.
Most
And
certainly.
I want to think that, done as needed, but nothing wrong with the ritual being on a regular basis, like once a
Yeah.
week. I am going to go for an hour on the weekend, and I'm going to take that time to myself, intentional, and I'm going to get self-care benefit from it. Then
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
Hmm. What else are you doing, if you want to call it a ritual?
I do a lot of things every day. I do journal most days. Some days it falls off, but I do love writing as a practice.
Hmm.
Um, I practice a form of writing where you just for set kind of a timer or give yourself an amount of time you want to write and not edit, just let things flow. And it's surprising to me what comes out because there's no filter in the middle stopping it. Sometimes it's how I get access, I think, to more of my subconscious kind of thoughts, like those things I might push away. Sometimes I'll write them down and be like, oh, do I really feel that way? So writing is a big one for me.
Hmm.
Sipping something with a warm mug. I use candles a lot. So if I'm gonna sit
Hmm.
down
Hmm.
to, let's say, create something, oh, art. When I sit down to do art, I always light a candle, and I have I think it's a Joshua something. It's a type of like cactus type plant. It dries, something flower. It dries into a hard ball. When you put water on it, it reopens every time. So I love when I do art to pour water on it and let it open as I do art. There's just something I feel connected to it, like because art kind of feels like it opens me. So doing this little practice of letting this flower open every time is a ritual I do. Things like that.
The candle is a ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And I'm gonna light one. I go up there. I forgot it's even up there. So I love talking about this stuff. Even journaling. I never thought of setting a timer. Five
Yeah.
minutes, word vomit if you need to. I got out of the mode of, I don't want to say making it neat, but making it clear, because then I would think like, well, what if I went back to this, 2 years from now and I can't read it? But then
Yep.
I realize when I'm just like, my eyes are barely even open. I'm just like writing down. I still can read it because it's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Even though I, form a D in a certain way when I'm intentional, when I just throw it down there on a page, I still know it's a D, whatever
Yep.
the letter is. But setting a timer, I kind of like that. So, and on two ways, you have an endpoint,
Yep.
but you're also tasked with challenging yourself to fill the time up.
And I find the timer works best when it's one of those days where I feel like I'm going to struggle to write something.
That's my
So,
point.
yep, then it's like, okay, well, all I got to do is kind of have this word vomit, even if it's sometimes my grocery list or something like might spill out of me. Okay,
Mm.
just let the words flow.
You said the art word, and I had a realization recently when I was little. I'm talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would draw cartoons.
Yeah.
And I almost became a syndicated cartoonist at age 22, right around there. All right, great, whatever. Now, when I look back at it, drawing, I would go into the basement, and then eventually I got like a drawing table in my room. That was my therapy.
Yeah.
I had a tough childhood and bullying, parents got
Yep.
divorced, and blah, 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 blah. That was my therapy. I never realized it until like this year. I was like, whoa, what an impact that had. And, I probably should get back to it. And you're doing it, and it's probably therapeutic for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with I'm very type A. I went to school for accounting, all those kinds of things.
Mm,
And I always told myself I could never be good at art because of that. And it's not that I'm great at art. I'm not going to be selling my art anytime soon. But there is something I love about the process of creating it. Um, Almost because it feels for so long, I think I told myself it wasn't me. So it's that like intention of when I do art, it feels very like I'm rebelling against all those rules I used to set for myself that are no longer there.
100%. And when somebody says, I'm not creative, I'm not artistic, I want to take them and like, yes, you are.
You just got
Everybody
to play with
is
it. Yep.
in different ways. Great talk today, Dawn. How did we find you? If somebody's looking to create some rituals, habits, some insight on changing their lives, what do they do? How do they find you?
One of the best ways to find me is through my website, which is www.thecreatrix. So THE hyphen CREATRIX.net. And I have all kinds of fun things out there. Meditation. There's even some art rituals for free in my online store. So some little things you can do to just create some ritual in your life. Small little art projects that are simple.
I got to check that out. And ultimately, you can create the life you want to live.
You can. Yeah.
In small steps. And part of that is with rituals.
With ritual. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agree completely.
Awesome. Thank you for today.
Thank you. Have a great
Appreciate
day.
It. You too.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.